Rock and roll music is another phase of the changes that come over this passing scene.
If there was a theme song to the Northwest Sound, it had to be Louie Louie. Originally written by Richard Berry, Tacoma's Little Bill Englehart, as well as Seattle's Ron Holden and the Playboys, were some of the first acts to play the simple three-chord staple, and the Wailers, with Rockin' Robin Roberts on vocals, had the first hit with it.
We all essentially played the same tunes of what was popular, the tunes of the day. But the interesting part I find quite unique about Northwest music is each band had a definite fingerprint, a definite print of what their music was.
Little Bill, he did the very first recording of Louie Louie in the Northwest, and his was true to the original recording. It was more a calypso style and nice and pretty instead of the real growly, hard thing.
I think my favorite version, and we didn't do this version, was the Sonics version of Louie Louie. It was different. They put a minor chord in there, and they made it their own. I really like that version.
Louie Louie seemed to be in every Northwest band set list at the dances.
A friend of mine had given me a copy of the Wailers' Louie Louie, and he said, "This is such a cool song. You guys should do this at your dance." And I went, "Okay." I mean, you can learn it, in 3 seconds. So, okay, yeah, we can do that. And the response from the kids was like, it was just amazing.
Rockin' Robin and the Wailers had put out Louie Louie on the Etiquette label, and it was huge. KJR, I think they sold 35,000 copies of the record just in the Western Washington market. They tried to get it out nationally, they did, but nothing happened to the record. Again, test marketing in my mind, I knew that Louie Louie was going to be a huge hit by somebody. So that's why I wanted to get a version of Louie Louie out, and we were very fortunate. We were successful.
We actually heard it the first time at, there was a teen nightclub in Seaside, which is a little beach resort town here. We heard a version by the Wailers, and it was their song that was being played. And they had a record out, a local label out of Seattle or Tacoma, and it was on a jukebox at this teen nightclub, and it just struck us, and we started playing it as an instrumental, and played it as, nobody knew the lyrics, so we played it as an instrumental for a long time, and it was kind of the song everybody got up and danced to.
Both Paul Revere and the Raiders and the Kingsmen enjoyed major label national success with this simple, sometimes controversial tune, with the Kingsmen's version generally considered the definitive version.
When we released Louie Louie, we did it on our own label. We created a label just to have a vehicle. We released it in Portland, it bounced up to Seattle. All of a sudden it was spreading in the Northwest, much like the Wailers had done before.
So here we come out with Louie Louie on Columbia Records. I was so excited to be on Columbia Records, but I didn't realize that they didn't know what they had. And they didn't really know how to promote the song, a rock and roll song like that. And so while they were trying to figure it out, the Kingsmen, they got on Wand Records, which was very tuned into how to connect the rock and roll market. And we came out unbeknownst to each other. We'd both recorded the song in the same studio in Portland within about a week of each other. And within another couple of weeks of each other, the record did come out. And so we were battling, the Louie Louie battle was going on. And they just had an incredible, great, fortunate situation in that they started getting major airplay in a lot of major cities in the East Coast and whatnot, and wham, it just locked in. They had a runaway monster hit that to this day it's going to be a classic for eternity.
Well, within a period of 6 months, the group was hot on the West Coast. The record went to #1 in San Francisco. It hit the top 10 in Honolulu. It was moving up in LA. But then we were derailed because the label didn't know what to do with rock and roll, and they thought, well, a song like this couldn't really make it, so they dropped it in the East, and of course that momentum was picked up by the Kingsmen. So between the Kingsmen and the Raiders, we shared America, but they shared the biggest portion of that.
There's more fiction than there is fact of anybody's knowledge of Louie Louie. Well, fortunately, I was there. I'm the guy who did it, so I do know the facts. The fact of Louie Louie breaking in Boston is real simple. I had a friend who was in the wholesale record distribution business. He was kind of my peer group buddy. He hated the record, but I asked him if he would try to get it on the air for me. This is about 6 months after I released it. See, I released it in May of 1963, and that's when we were on the air in Portland. It took me several months to kind of convince other people that the record was a real record.
The Northwest music was breaking out, and people were following it. But most of the conversation about the Kingsmen was about lyrics. You know, we were accused of corrupting the moral fiber of the youth of America by J. Edgar Hoover, and we were banned in Indiana, which really got us to success. Nobody can plan on being banned. I don't know if the Kingsmen ever would have been successful had the ban not taken place with Louie Louie. We were banned in New England and in Indiana, and it made the UPAP, and by the time that whole thing died down, we had sold millions of records, and we were out touring, and it created a career.
Now it's kind of a mixture of all of us, and we're all friends with each other, and we look back on those years as just being the Louie Louie years. It was great because that song kind of just put all three of us on the map.
Within 2 months of joining that group, Louie Louie went from being a zero to the #1 conversation piece around the country.
There was something about that song. There was something about Louie Louie that was just gutty and gritty.
There was some kind of a magic in those 3 notes.
Louie Louie may have been born elsewhere, but the Northwest has certainly claimed it as our own.